In an allopathic way, you carry on taking the medicine. People take the medicine, don't they, for a period of time. In homeopathy, it's realizing that actually the remedy is just a stimulus. It's just a key to a lock. The body contains all the healing wisdom. Whereas an allopathic drug, all the power's in the drug. So you take it, it has an effect. You stop taking it, it doesn't have an effect. Whereas homeopathy, you can take it once or twice and then it's going. So there's just no need to keep repeating it, if that makes sense. Today we're going to be talking about styes and blepharitis, and some of you may have suffered from this, or you know, people who have, or kids have had it. I remember when I was a kid, I used to get it when I was younger, where I'd wake up in the morning and all my eyes would be stuck together. I thought, oh my god, I've gone blind. But it was, as a kid, you don't realize what's happening, but it's all stuck together with this gooey, sticky sort of discharge, and I suffer from styes and blepharitis, so I do remember that. So this is a really good topic to cover, because it can be a recurring issue for people, and these are some of the top remedies you can use in order to help. And we're talking about styes and blepharitis and the difference between them, but these remedies often cover both. So this is what I've tried to do, is get the remedies that cover both styes and blepharitis. And like I said, this is not just the remedies you can use. I'm just giving you some of the top remedies that you should know about in order for these conditions. So, styes and blepharitis. So, often caused by a Staphylococcus bacteria, which can be the underlying cause of both blepharitis and styes. And styes are the result of an infection and cause a painful lump. We get a little painful lump under the eyelid, where blepharitis is more the whole eyelid inflamed. Blepharitis sometimes causes a stye, but it's not the same condition. And blepharitis also causes like crusty flakes around the base of the eyelashes. So you can see them under the base of the eyelashes, these horrible little crusty flakes. Both conditions can lead to the eyes going red and to swelling, but blepharitis doesn't always have a lump in the eyelid like a stye does. But, you know, often they can be very, very similar. So this is why I'm covering both. So what is a stye? Well, styes are often caused by bacteria infecting an eyelash follicle or an eyelid gland, and you're much more likely to get a stye if you've had long-term blepharitis. Okay, so this is quite common. But often styes by themselves, they're very common, and should clear up themselves within 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, if you get them, but or sooner with the remedies. They're rarely a sign of anything more serious, but they can be quite painful. So you can check if you've got a stye, because the stye is a small, painful lump on the inside of the eyelid or around the eye. And the skin around the stye may be swollen and red. And the stye may be filled with pus, okay, may have pus in it. Now this redness may be harder to see on brown or black skin, but you'll see the lump there. And your eye may be watery, may be red, but generally your vision is not affected by the stye. And usually it's only one eye at a time. But it's possible to have more than one stye at the same time, okay? So, and it's probably not a stye if there's no lump. If your eye or eyelid is swollen, red and watery, it's much likely to be conjunctivitis. And see our previous video when I did a whole session on conjunctivitis. Or it can be blepharitis. And the lump is hard, often not very painful. And if it's not very painful, it's more likely to be a chelation. Chelation, it's a really difficult word to remember. Chelation to pronounce. I've been rehearsing that all morning. So to reduce swelling and help the stye heal, soak clean flannel in warm water, and then hold against your eye for 5 to 10 minutes, and repeat this 3 or 4 times a day. And this should really help reduce the flowing and help the stye heal. But if you get help, seek help, professional advice. If it's very painful, very swollen, it doesn't get better within a few weeks, and it starts to affect your vision. So please do seek help in that situation. And you can avoid styes by keeping your eyes clean, avoid wearing contact lenses and eye makeup until the stye has burst and it's healed. Don't share towels or face cloths with someone who's got a stye, so try to separate that out. And not rubbing your eyes if you've recently just washed your hands. And not putting contact lenses in before washing your hands as well. And also all can stop any sort of like bacterial infection. And some common symptoms of blepharitis, again, this can be caused, as we mentioned, by bacteria or the glands inside the eyelids not producing enough oil. So this then could cause irritation within the eye. And it's not usually serious, and again, can often be treated by washing your eyelids every day, and it can't be spread to other people. So it's not contagious. It's often to do with the glands, as we said, or the bacteria, but often the glands can be blocked, and then that causes them not to produce oil, which affects the eyes. And symptom of blepharitis can include sore, swollen eyelids, itchy eyes, a gritty feeling in the eyes, flakes or crust around the roots of the eyelashes, eyes sticking together in the morning when you wake up, as I mentioned before, when I was a little boy and I used to wake up and it was all gummed up, or red or discolored eyelids. So these are the more common symptoms of blepharitis. And what are chelations? Well, chelations are often mistaken for styes, but unlike styes, chelations are not caused by infections. And a chelation starts as a swollen area of the eyelid, and over a few days, a hard lump forms. Again, this lump is usually painless, unlike a stye, which can be more tender and more sore to the touch. And a chelation develops after the oil glands in the eyelids thicken. And when the oil glands are blocked, the eyelid becomes inflamed and a lump can develop. And since blepharitis and a stye may come from a blocked oil glands, either blepharitis or a stye could lead to a chelation. So, before we get into the remedies, always let's say, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got over 1,300 people now that have registered. Let's get that to 10,000. Let's spread the word about homeopathy. And when you subscribe, you'll get notified as soon as a new video goes up. So you're the first ones to know. And also check us out. Check out our website, the Centre for Homeopathic Education, chehomeopathy.com. We've got a lot of different blogs on there. We've got a lot of information about homeopathy on there, as well as all the different courses that we run from the beginner's level all the way to practitioner and professional homeopath level. So do check us out. We've got lots of courses in there, a lot of free webinars in there as well. And if you're interested about training to become a homeopath, we have a recruitment coming up in January. So you'll hear more about that in further details. But yeah, check us out on the website. So let's look at the homeopathic remedies for styes and blepharitis. So the first thing I want to talk about is Hypericum and Calendula, or Hypercal. And this is where you can get it in homeopathic mother tincture. And this is made from a natural herbal preparation of calendula, which is marigold, and also Hypericum, St. John's wort. Now, you can get them as a mixture from any of the homeopathic pharmacies. Sometimes health food stores sell this as well. And you get a few drops of the tincture in a glass of cool, previously boiled water, so it's sterile. Soak a clean flannel in the warm water. Hold it against your eye for 5 to 10 minutes and repeat this 3 or 4 times a day. And this really promotes rapid healing. It's an antiseptic, and plus it's pain relieving. So again, you can do that as just put the flannel in that mixture, do it against your eye for 5 to 10 minutes, and do that 3 or 4 times a day. So it's a really good way of really helping the stye, all the blepharitis. So let's look at the first remedy, Argenet. Now, we talked about this when we did conjunctivitis. This is for great swelling of the eyes, which are red, sensitive to light. Okay, sensitive to light. But they get a lot of smelly, creamy yellow discharge when the eyelids also glue together with thick crusts. And normally it affects the inner corners of the eye in here. And the eyelids can look red, swollen, and inflamed. And the whole eye, as you can see in this picture, it can swell, and it can look like raw beef, okay? It can look like raw beef. It can be that sort of inflamed. And the eyes will ache, the eyes will feel tired, and they can't keep their eyes fixed on anything. They just get really tired. Better for cold or cold compress, better for pressure, better for closing the eyes, and better for cool air. Okay, keynote here for the Argenet. Remember, we're looking for keynotes. Worse warm room, it can irritate it, and worse often on the left-hand side, that eye can be affected more. Along with the symptoms, the physical symptoms, they can also have emotional, mental symptoms where they can be quite anxious or nervous, get a lot of anticipation, apprehension and fear. So this could be somebody who is worried about doing a presentation at work or doing a speech or before a job interview, and they're quite a lot of anticipation. Then they might develop a stye on their eye. And they wake up in the morning, I'll go, oh, great, I've got this interview today, or I've got this speech to make today, and I've got this big stye in my eye. So it's often good to see what is behind it, because in homeopathy, we look at you mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, where it's truly holistic. So sometimes we'll look at these mental and emotional symptoms as part of the remedy picture. Argenet often will crave sugar and desire sweets. Again, it could desire sugar around this time. But do look at those keynotes. You know, it looks like raw beef, the anticipation, anxiety symptoms as well. But remember, often it affects the left eye and the inner corner the inner part of the eye can look red and inflamed. Next remedy, Graphites. Here you get dryness of the eyelid, which again are red and swollen, but with Graphites what you tend to see. And if you check out our videos on athlete's foot and impetigo, often you'll get cracks, especially here at the corners of the eye, okay? On the outside, it can be very cracked and very sore. There's a dryness with Graphites. It can be very, very dry. And with Graphites, often the styes are on the lower lid and have what's called like a drawing pain, okay? Fix the lower lid, much more of a drawing pain. And they can have a thin, acrid discharge from eyes or pus like a sticky discharge, okay? And the dry mucus on the eyelids in the morning afterwards. So it can be this thick, sticky discharge. If you remember from other videos we've done, their discharge with Graphites is like honey sometimes. It can be like consistency of honey. Worse for daylight or artificial light. The worst for light generally, either outside or artificial light. Better in the open air, better in the dark. So their eyes feel better if they're in the dark. So remember, Graphites, the keynotes. Dryness, red and swollen, but a lot of the styes and blepharitis are red and swollen, but it's the dryness and the cracks at the corner, but also this sort of thin, acrid discharge from the eyes, or pus like a sticky discharge, okay? A bit like honey. Okay, next remedy, Heparsolve. So this is a good remedy where the stye has become infected, okay? So we know it's really good when things there's pus formed with Heparsolve. Here the eyelid again is red, swollen, inflamed, but extremely sensitive. Now again, if you've seen any of the videos when I've mentioned Heparsolve and any different conditions, they are so sensitive. Everything is hypersensitive to the least touch and the least cold air. So if cold air comes into there, they can really feel it. It's like, oh gosh, shut the door, shut the window, hurting my eye. Or if they touch it. And they have like a splinter-like pain, keynote of Heparsolve, splinter-like feeling in the eye. Something's in there, in the eye, or can feel like sand or grainy and scratchy, okay? And the stye can be inflamed, as you can see from the picture, again, with a thick yellow discharge. But this one, it's sort of, if you smelt it, it smells like old cheese. So any discharge of Heparsolve, whether it's a mucus from the nose or from any other place, it smells like old cheese, okay, and looks like old cheese. So the very chilly Heparsolve, very chilly, very irritable and bad-tempered, oversensitive, like a bear with a sore head with a stye or blepharitis. You don't want to be around them, okay? Nothing you can do for them. They're never satisfied, okay? And they're never happy, so you're best probably to avoid them. The worst for slightest draft. Even the door or the window open a little bit, they really feel it. Worse open air, as I said, but particularly cold air. Worse for touch, worse on waking, better damp weather, better for heat. Okay, big keynotes there of Heparsolve. Next remedy, Pulsilla. Now I'd say probably the most common remedy for stye, especially in children, and it's often the first remedy you'll think of. And here the eyelid is inflamed, usually the upper left lid. Very specific. The upper left lid is affected, and again can be stuck together worse in the morning. So they wake in the morning and it's stuck. But the inflammation in the eye with the stye blepharitis is normally the upper left lid. And again, they have a thick yellow, profuse, bland yellow discharge from the eye. Again, very much a keynote of Pulsilla. Any of their discharges is normally yellow, profuse, and bland. And it's burning with Pulsilla, burning, itching of the eyes. They have to rub them, burning and itching, which can make it worse. Again, as we look at the mental and emotional symptoms with Pulsilla, and again, if you watch any of the videos when Pulsilla is ever mentioned, they can be weepy, emotional, with changeable symptoms as well. The symptoms can change, very changeable Pulsilla. And if you look at the remedy Pulsilla, it moves in the wind. It's called the windflower. It moves in the wind. They're better for company, better for sympathy. They want your sympathy. Not like Heparsolve, keep away from me. Pulsilla wants you to look after them. They want you to love them. They're better if you're around and you're asking how they are. They feel much better for that, for being looked after. Better for open, fresh air. They'll want to have a window open. This feels so much better from fresh air, and better for any cold application onto the eye, the stye particularly. Worse, stuffy rooms. That's the worst thing for Pulsilla, being in a stuffy room where there's no air, no fresh air. Worse in the morning, get another keynote for Pulsilla, and worse on waking. And can be better as sort of the morning gets on. And another big keynote for Pulsilla is they are thirstless. Okay, they don't want to drink, not particularly want to drink. Even if they are drinking, say, "Oh, you're thirsty?" No, I just think I need to because it's supposed to be good for me. But they're not really thirsty. They're thirstless. Big remedy, number one remedy you think of often with kids and styes. Next remedy, Sagria. So this is really good for reoccurring styes. Again, often on the left upper eyelid. Now, with this stye, with Sagria, the stye doesn't produce pus like Heparsolve, but remains a hard nodule or lump. And the pain in the upper lid is worse closing the eye. So when they close the eye, it feels like there's a hard substance underneath when they close their eye. Painful. The eyelid can itch, and the angles of the eye is often affected, especially the inner part of the eye can be painful. Dryness of the eye, particularly the left eye. So this is, again, it's the left eye that's affected. This, again, how you differentiate right or left. With hot tears. So they get the dryness of the eye, but then they get these hot tears, okay? And the eyes can be very sensitive, very sensitive. And that is the remedy, Sagria. It can be extremely sensitive to what you say. And often you'll see the stye or the blepharitis can be caused, particularly the stye, from suppressed emotions. It's where they've suppressed their emotions, they haven't expressed it, especially anger or humiliation. So they may have had to suppress their anger. They may be at work or with a partner. They've kept it in. They haven't expressed it, but they're really angry, or they feel they've been humiliated, but they won't express it. They're all very nice, but underneath they feel it. But guess what pops out? The issue with the eye. The stye comes out. So this is the stye is an external manifestation of their internal state, their internal mental and emotional state. They can't express it verbally, so it's come out physically. Better for application of cold water on the stye. So they don't want warm water. They do want to have cold water on the eyes. So Sagria. Seeing this a lot with people, especially when they suppress their emotions. So again, you're looking at, what is the body trying to tell me? What's it trying to express? What's it trying to tell me what the issue is? And finally, sulfur. Good old sulfur. Sulfur has many, many uses in homeopathy. So many uses. But this is really good for chronic. When people get it time and time again, we call it chronic. Keep getting these acutes, doesn't seem to quite clear. Well, sulfur's good when it's recurrent in the same place. More again in the upper lid, towards the inner part of the eye. But the thing with sulfur is the margins of the eye around the eyelid are very red. Okay, they look red and they look inflamed. And they say it feels like they're burning, like there's heat in them. That's the thing with sulfur. There's a lot of heat. And it can sting and they can be itching. Again, big keynote of sulfur, red and itching and inflamed. And they can have profuse tears can come. Okay, profuse tears. But often they describe the tears, they feel like they're oily. That's very sulfur. They feel like the tears are oily. Again, strange, rare, peculiar symptom. But again, the tears can feel like the burning sensation. Worse in the morning. Okay, with sulfur, worse in the morning. Again, the lids can be stuck together in the morning with a yellow or whitish discharge. But again, it's common in blepharitis. So you're looking at you're not looking at the common symptoms. Look at things that differentiate between these remedies. And they can have dryness of the eyes in the warm room. So they feel dried out by a warm room. But the tears will flow in the open air. Okay, the tears will flow in the open air. And they cannot bear the eye to have the eye washed in any way, shape or form. So when I talked about before, like the eye wash using the flannel, they will not want it anywhere near them. Sulfur do not like bathing. They do not like washing. They do not like bathing in any sort. And they say it aggravates the eyes, makes it more itchy and more inflamed. Worse, becoming heated. Big keynote of sulfur. Think of the volcano. That's, comes out of sulfur from a volcano. It's like they are worse being heated. They feel hot enough as it is. They kick the covers off, or Feet can burn and they keep the covers off at night. Worse from bathing, I've mentioned that. Worse closed rooms, I've mentioned that as well. Again, better open air. So a lot of these remedies are better for open air, but you've got to then differentiate between them with the other modalities, what makes them better or worse, what the sensations are like, and everything we've described in those remedies. So how do you prescribe? Well, you can again use, I always say, use a 6C, 30C. This is what you can buy over the counter at the health food store, or you can buy from a homeopathic pharmacy, or they're in the remedy kits. So this is why I normally, for home prescribing, 6 or 30C is great. Just try that. Take one dose twice daily for 3 or 4 doses, or until the symptoms improve. If you think the symptoms have improved after 2 doses, then leave it. Because as I always say, the remedies are like keys to a lock. Well, what we're getting the remedies to do is stimulate the body to start healing itself. It's a bit like key to a car. You start the engine. Once the engine's going, you don't keep doing that with the key. It's going to make a horrible grinding noise. The ignition just gets it going. It's the same with the remedies. We're stimulating the body to start healing itself. All that healing wisdom you're ever going to need is within you. And these remedies are these keys. So if 1 or 2 doses it starts to improve, then stop the remedy. You don't need to continue on. The body knows what to do. If it stops, like a day later, just repeat it again. Or take 3 or 4 doses, and that should be enough to start the healing process. You will feel or you will see the difference with the remedies quite soon in acute situations. And remember, you don't need every single part of the remedy that I've just been discussing of these remedies. You're just looking for at least 3 keynotes, 3 strong keynotes that in order to prescribe, or we say the 3-legged stool. And if symptoms do persist, please seek help from a qualified practitioner. Particularly if you try the remedies 2 or 3 and they haven't worked, you may need to get more expert advice. Because it's not that clear for you. Also, it's reoccurring as well. It's good to seek, because something's not being resolved, if they keep coming back, it's good to get some constitutional treatment as well. So, as I mentioned, check us out, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check us out on homeopathy.com. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for listening. And until next time.